This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
Corey Winfield. You have a rich person's name. Like, you should be a billionaire with the name Winfield. Anyway, call me back, bro.
September 10th, 2020. My name is Corey Winfield, and this is the 217 Recovery Podcast. Joining me in the studio is Marney Liston, not too busy for us today. Hey, Marney.
Hi there.
How are you doing?
I'm great.
Hey, so we have a special guest with us today, and she's on the phone, and we'll talk to her in just a second. But you met her through the process of going to treatment and stuff like that. And then she became, I guess, a fan of yours, and then somehow a big fan of 217 Recovery, which, I think that's great. And so now we have her slinging our merchandise, right? So let's welcome in Stephanie. Stephanie, how are you doing?
Hi there, Corey. I'm doing great.
Better late than never, huh? How are you? You're doing great?
Yeah.
So how did you get talked into...
doing great.
How did you get talked into slinging our merchandise for us?
Well, I met Marney through Phoenix Hall in Traverse City.
Right, that's cool. But how did you get talked into being a salesperson for 217? How did you do that? You got a box of merchandise today, right?
Oh, yes, I did. I've got a box of merchandise, and we're just gung-ho.
Because
really gung-ho after recovery. And, yeah, what?
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you just,
very gung-ho.
Buy a couple shirts?
Yes,
and
I
all
just
of a sudden,
got the package today.
Yeah, but you bought a couple shirts because you wanted to represent 217 Recovery, and the next thing you know, you're talked into a whole box of shirts.
Yes. I'm at Randy's house in Nuevo, and we all wanted shirts and spread 217's love.
But you're not a bully? You're not making the women wear the shirts and buy the shirts?
No, of course not. Everyone here that wants them. Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure. So,
yeah.
Stephanie, how long have you been sober?
4 months today.
Nice. Congratulations.
4
months
Thank
today.
You.
Good for
you. You're just a baby.
Yeah.
Man. No, but 4 months though.
Yeah.
That I remember when I hit 4 months, it seemed like forever. And then the thought of 6 months seemed like even further away. And when you're in early recovery, it's just one of those things that it takes time. And once you start, I guess, hitting your stride, it just goes a lot faster. But I just remember like thinking 4 months, like, oh my God, that's a long time. But
I remember a time when I couldn't even imagine one day.
Right.
And now it's 4 months later, and one day at a time, and 1 second at a time, 1 minute at a time sometimes. Mm-hmm. It just keeps going, keeps getting better.
Now, what are some of the things that you're doing that you thought you would never do? For example, like and that you don't want to do, but you know that you have to do it and you need to do it. For example, like I went to a sober living house for men. I didn't want to do that, and that's why I did that. Like some of the things that you don't want to do that are things you need to do. What are some things that you're doing right now that you know that you need to do but aren't necessarily fun or things you want to do?
I'm here at Randy's house, which I love. Yeah, I love it here at Randy's house in Nuevo. Bills, being an adult, they hold us accountable for paying rent here. So many hours of community service.
Oh, that's awesome.
Every week, sweeping and mopping upstairs and down.
Okay.
Just up and down the steps, which is, everyone has a chore.
Yeah.
And
it's not bad.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
For people who've never lived in sober living, it can be hard to imagine, living with a bunch of other people, and now, you're doing chores, and that's one of the humbling things that I took away from sober living is you have to do things for other people, and what I was 10 years ago or 5 years ago isn't who I was when I was in that sober living house. I had to like throw all that stuff away, because you'll hear people talk about all the time about, well, I used to have a $80,000 a year job, or I used to make $1 million, used to have a boat, used to have 8 boats. And it really doesn't matter at this point in our life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then when you rewind a country song backwards, you get all those things back.
I got jokes today. I love it, Stephanie. That's awesome. I'll let you talk to Marney here for a minute, because she knows you a lot better than I do. I just had to ask you if you got like conned into like all those shirts, and maybe Marney threatened you, or you were threatening other women to buy them. I just wanted to clear it up. Make sure that it was all legit.
No, not at all. We're gung-ho for 217 podcast, listening to the podcast, and it's a beautiful thing to be able to have like-minded people in recovery that we can look up to in a sort, like mentors. A wonderful experience to be able to share what 217 Recovery is doing. Like you said, with like today, how you went to Greenville to a sober living home to bring a man there, and we support like the recovery rides and all the different things that you guys are doing with 217 and the podcast, and being able to listen to that, and hopefully we'll get it so we can listen to on Apple.
Oh, you mean the App Store?
Oh, we do have it on Apple?
Yeah, we're an Apple podcast, but we don't have an actual 217 Recovery app for the App Store.
We're working on that.
I should clear that up for people, because I just usually say, an Apple, we're working on it, but you can get that on there. But all right, well, I'm gonna throw it to Marney, and she's gonna ask you tough questions.
Oh, I'm not gonna.
Don't get too nervous, Stephanie. Okay. Marnie's the worst. She's
not
mean.
even questions. It's not even questions.
She's so mean.
No. Well, it's great. It's great to have you. It's great to have you on the podcast, Stephanie. I met Stephanie about 2 months ago, right? Because you've been in Randy's house 2 months now.
Since June 29th.
Okay. Well, it's been a minute.
So, I met you in May.
Okay.
Beginning of May.
Okay. Yeah. So it's been a minute. It's been, God, time does fly. But, she came in, just any other resident. I was working at the treatment center here in Traverse City, and I was working the midnight shift. And, I don't get much opportunity to interact with the ladies there on that shift, but a little bit. And, Stephanie was really open to, to talking to me about kind of what got her there and how she was doing on a daily basis. She was checking in, and how she told me she had previous recovery under her belt, and just she needed to kind of just reboot, and that's why she was there. And so we had a couple of really good conversations, and she was asking about the podcast even then, and I said, I'd be more than happy to get her.
And I got gear back then.
Yeah, she did. So I made some shirts for her, some pants, and she was rocking them even in treatment. So, I could tell that she had some passion, and that hopefully, just like I hope for all the ladies in treatment that would, went through the program there when I was working at the treatment center in Traverse City, that they would, follow up with something like, transitional housing, like Stephanie did. So when was it that you decided that you wanted to, that was going to be your next step?
Randy's house?
Yeah.
I pushed it. Phoenix Hall is normally like 17 or 21 days. And every 2 weeks I kept asking for more time, because I know I needed it. Mm-hmm. And when I first got there to Phoenix Hall, I was in psychosis. And I was in a psychosis for a very long time while I was there. It was only till the end when things started getting better for me. And so I stayed at Phoenix Hall for 51 days. Mm-hmm. And after the 51 days, I knew that before the 51, I knew from the day I walked in there that I needed a long time. Mm-hmm. It was only through God that He saved me. He brought me out of that. He was with me throughout the whole process. And I started seeing on the Zooms that there was people from some place called Randy's house on the meetings that we would see on the TV there at Phoenix. And I was looking for something long-term, a year, 2 years, a long time. And I decided that Randy's house would be a wonderful fit if I could get there, if they would accept me. There was long waiting list and whatnot. And God has been faithful through everything. And there was a way for me to get in here. And I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful to God. I'm very thankful to all of Randy's house, the Phoenix Hall, for helping me, and to you, Marney, for helping me while we were there. Always being there to listen to me, and it's a really wonderful experience. Really wonderful experience. Yes.
Absolutely. No, you were a pleasure to talk to. I mean, I could tell that you shared a lot with me, and you'd been through a lot in your life, just like, most of us that are in recovery. And, like I had mentioned before, you had that passion that, you wanted to make that change. And that we even talked, I think for one night, we talked about that, you were there for yourself this time. And I think that I can't say enough about how important that is, that if you really want to make a change, it's got to be, for you. And you made that next step, right out the gates of the treatment center. You knew that you needed a plan. I think that's so important. And you did that. You had everything set to go as soon as you left Phoenix. And you did it. You did that and followed through with it. And now look at you. You got your 45 recovery rocks. And yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that? What that is?
Sure.
And
45. Yeah, 45 Recovery Rocks is a group that I started on Facebook, and the group originated. It was called Mental Health and Substance Abuse Recovery, and the idea correlates to the fact that mental health and addiction so much goes hand in hand. The group was for, and is still for, anybody suffering with mental health by them alone, or has an addiction with it. It can be any kind of addiction, or also friends and family that know a loved one or need a sounding board. It's now called 45 Recovery Rocks. I'm 45 right now, and that's the age that I got clean and started working a program. Before, in the past, I had several rehabs, in and out of different rehabs and whatnot. I was never working a program. I wasn't being honest, open, willing. I didn't have a sponsor. I wasn't working one step. I didn't even think about steps. Back in the day, it was get out of jail free card. It was go in one door and do a load of laundry maybe, get some meat out of my bones, eat something, and back out the back door with probably the dope man with me or picking me up and getting high right from the driveway. Today it's about working the steps and humbling myself to God, knowing that without God I wouldn't have anything. My life would have been gone so many times over by now.
I think it's great, Stephanie, that you started something that other people can be involved with. And that's, kind of what I did with 217 Recovery. And you'll find that you'll kind of get, and I get it when people ask me, what's 217? Is that an area code? But you'll get people asking you silly stuff about 45 Recovery, right? They're like, oh, is that how many rehabs you went to? Or is that how many friends have died? Or, they'll ask you all, and you'll be like, no, it's not what that is. I always tell people, I'm like, that's how many women I hooked up with in rehab, 217. They're like, really?
Is it
And
though?
They believe me. I'm like, no, that was the room number. But for me, it's more than the room. 217 was the room that I got to share things with the people that were close with me in recovery. And I look at 217 Recovery as something that we can all share. It's like our own big room that we can get together and talk about recovery. And I think that's what you do with 45 Recovery Rocks. I think you started this thing on Facebook, but then you had to change it a little, and you changed the name to something that was more fitting to you, which is the same thing I did with 217 Recovery. And I think that that's going to give you